Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Pickles and Pasta with...
Steph and Jay.
Yeah, I like hearing your voice. It's nice when it kind of just comes in there, just like it's so melodic.
Songbird.
You're like a songbird. That's my girl. Who's that? That's my songbird. Um, what's her name? Steph the songbird. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Hectic day.
It's a busy day today, but it's good. It's like good energy.
Good energy, right?
Yeah, I have like a lot to do. So I hate using the word busy because that everybody uses the word busy. Although I am busy, but
I won't use it at all.
I know you don't use it. I do use it, but there's just a lot of different things happening today, and I'm into all of them. So all good.
Well, it's a little. I think I think this happens when Kavya was here earlier, and you want to, even though we talk to different people on the team all the time, and we're messaging each other, and we do Zoom call or Teams calls or Zoom call, whatever. When someone's like right here, you kind of want to maximize the use of that time because it's different. In person is just different than hybrid, no matter what, no matter how you slice it. So I find that days like when there's somebody from the team that's in person, it's just natural. I think that naturally happens because you want to kind of really maximize, right? I mean, I think that's what happened a lot today. Was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I also have other things. We have the podcast. I'm going to see an artist talk tonight, so a lot of scheduled things.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
of course, we're done.
If somebody wouldn't be here, it would still, you still have a lot going on, but it would be a different use of your time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was working on several different projects with Kavya, our intern, who's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah, it's good. But it's good though. Like you said, it's all good stuff. It's like, it's not negative stuff. So that's
it's great.
Always good. Yeah.
And it kind of leads us into our topics.
Yes, it does lead us into our topics. I'm not there yet, but it does lead us into our topics. Yeah. It's a interesting week, I think, and I just heard earlier that we're expecting more. Now that the snow is melting, we're expecting more snow. So that should be fun and exciting. I was looking at the calendar earlier, and like February is almost over, and
I know.
January was like 6 years.
So long. Yeah.
So I just think it's just all interesting. It's just interesting, and all that stuff today with you having all this stuff going on. I find this stuff interesting, and it's a Lunar New Year. The what is it? The year of the flying horse, the
flaming
horse. Flaming horse, right? The image that I saw, it was actually also flying, so that's why I wasn't sure. So I don't mean any disrespect to that, but so it's flaming horse.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been referring to it as the year of the horse, but I'm not that,
Well, we were correct. We were corrected by our lovely producer, who shall remain nameless.
Which is his job to correct us, for sure.
Yes, so it's part of his job. Part of his job to do that. So he's definitely good at correcting me. He certainly does like to correct me. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's a good segue. And so, not that your segue wasn't good. Actually, your segue was better. I'll be honest. I don't know why I dragged this out. Just it's a little lonely, I guess. So I just felt I had to.
You had to say
something to kind of feel included. But so we were talking about both of us being creative, but different creative, which came up actually. It's come up actually in a couple of different conversations with different people, not just with us, because we kind of know it. But when people say, "Well, you're a creative," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I am a creative, but I'm not really creative. Like Steph is a creative in one way. I'm a creative in a different way. Although we're both technically creative. People look at me and they think I'm a creative because the way I look, whatever. But I'm not, let's say, the way you are, or the way my friend Gavin is, or the way, I'm just not. But anyway, the topic we wanted to kind of talk about was how we take projects from concept to reality, and how that differs between us, and like how you do it, like what are the steps you take, and what are the steps I take, and how we approach those things differently. And I just think it's interesting because, again, we obviously work together. We are together. We're obviously very connected and very bonded and all that. But there's things we do that are just so totally different, like just
Mhm.
absolutely different approach. So maybe, and I'm going to let you have the floor or the chair, and maybe run us through it a little bit, so you can kind of share with like how you go about it. Like you have a project, how do you get from that concept to the reality?
Yeah, so this kind of came up for me. I was talking to my dear friend Kristen, and we were just talking about partnerships, and somehow we got in this topic of you and I. And although we're both creatives, the things that are in my wheelhouse are very different than the things that are in your wheelhouse. And so even though we work together, I am strong in certain things and you're strong in things that I'm not strong in. So that's like really amazing. And I realize that that is so productive for me when I'm going about my projects, because you help me with certain aspects of really almost every project I have. So for me, for instance, right now, I have several projects that I'm beginning and in the midst of with Have Some Fun Today. And then I have a new project that I'm cooking up, that is a merge of my art and my interior design experience. So that's another project. And then I have a children's book, which I am in the midst of, creating. And so I have like all these buckets of creative projects. And the way I go about doing it is, when I get the spark of the idea, I try to put that down either in my note area or I write a little sticky note. If you could see the front of my desk right now, I've probably got about 25
Oh,
multi.
at least 25. It's a post-it note wall. It's amazing.
But it's really cool because I actually move the sticky notes
Yeah.
around as I accomplish something or it's less important
So you're
because I
using
like,
the wall as a whiteboard, right? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
your whiteboard.
basically,
It's with
yeah,
no limitations, which is great. It's a great
yeah.
way to work. Yeah, it's a fantastic
And
solution.
honestly, and they do say that you should write things down. So my process of handwriting things down is how I kind of integrate it into my being,
Yeah.
and into my brain so I can compartmentalize what I've done on this project so far. And so once it gets onto a sticky note, I kind of then go to my ChatGPT and I start talking about it. And I start brainstorming with my ChatGPT. Jay likes to call
Steph
it
GPT.
GPT. And that is the beginnings of it. And then, for something like the Have Some Fun Today project, for example, Have Some Fun Today has been clothing and very high end leather handbags and, hats and stuff like that. But this year, starting in March, we are going to be transforming the site to be a little bit more fine art based. And so when I'm home in Pennsylvania, I start with experiments. And I started, purchasing different materials that I'm thinking will fit into this project. And so one of them is I want to make fine art, Have Some Fun Today paintings that are small, they're very accessible. It can probably be someone's first really fine art piece that they're like beginning their art collection. And so that's kind of how I'm positioning that mentally. Then I go into starting to actually do it, like get in there physically and start to experiment. So I'm creating these paintings, and at first I just did a few, kind of gave it time to kind of absorb into, think about, like move it around in my space, see how they look. And then I do a few more and I start to build. I start to build a collection. And, and I don't do these things like I get it done and it goes right on the website. I'm definitely like taking my time here because it's a direction that I want to go in. But I want to really think about it. And having, worked on Have Some Fun Today for over 12 years, I've learned a thing or two, and I want to kind of take my time and develop these projects with a lot of thoughtfulness and really incorporating some of the lessons I've learned. And so that's kind of how I begin a project.
You're not thinking about the end when you're starting, as an example. which we've talked about before. Like your steps are, you have an idea, you plays in your head for a little bit, then you sketch it, draw it, spec it out, like kind of get the first iteration going, then you play with it, you perfect it, you go, and then you pause, and then you think about, okay, now where does like that sort of stuff a little bit.
I mean, yeah, and I don't want to say I'm not thinking about the end product
No,
because
I know, I know,
that would really not be smart.
but you don't let
Honestly,
it come
that's
in.
a waste of my time. You
But you're
know,
not really letting it influence your creativity. You're gonna go as creative. You're gonna go creatively and let it flow as much as it can flow.
yeah, because I think that ideas really need time to incubate. And so while I'm kind of playing around with these Have Some Fun Today paintings, now I'm also dabbling in the bags, and I want to bring some of that artistry into the handbags and doing some hand painted graphic designs. Like I got the idea that I wanted to do some camouflage. And so then I'm doing a camouflage painted bag, but I'm taking that then and looking it against the art. And now I'm starting to see how does this like acid brights with a little metallic gold in the paintings, how does that merchandise with, say, a cheetah print painted handbag in metallic gold and black? Like that starts to kind of create a vibe that I can merchandise pieces like together, because I think you have to think separately and then holistically when you're creating like a brand. And so that's kind of been my process so far there. And then, I haven't gotten to this next step yet, but to take it then further, I can then digitize the fine art I'm creating, and then I can create products from those digital files. Let's say I want to take one of those paintings and put it on a coffee mug, but I haven't gone to that step yet, but this is what I'm like throwing out, how I'm conceiving of separate projects and then how they link together under a brand umbrella
Right.
as one example.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a very artistic approach to what you do. It always comes from a very artistic mindset and artistic skill set. Like that's how you function. Like that's logical.
Yeah, but I didn't always function that way. I'm just deciding now that I want to function that way. Like previously, when I was developing a new handbag, I wasn't thinking this way at all. I was getting input from buyers and stores and customers, and then I would run with it without doing enough research to really decide, is this really the bag I want to produce overseas and do all this extraordinary work, really, and then import, a new product in. There's a lot of financial obligation with that whole model. And I have now decided I want to move away from that, and I want to be more artistic in my approach and have a more hands on, crafty, artsy, take on the brand at this point.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, look, I think it makes sense. I mean, I think, like you were saying before, like my mindset about certain things and where we complement each other is, I mean, I get what you're doing and I get, because obviously we're talking about these things when you come up with the idea,
Hmm.
you think about something, then you tell me, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And then I start thinking about, okay, what does that mean and how's that going to work? And I kind of keep a lot of that to myself because I don't want to get in the way of you know, your beginning process of your gestation of how you evolve into it, and then little by little I'll come in with like little notes here and little notes there as you're evolving, and then you start to think about these other things. So it's an interesting process. It's different than other types of things, and obviously for the stuff that I do, it's a little bit different. When I have, whether it's an idea, of our own, like something that we're going to do, like ourselves for
Hmm.
us,
Hmm.
whether it's division of a company or the business or a project that I want us to work on. Obviously, I have that initial idea of what I think it's going to be, which is how everything is. but I've already seen, I'm already seeing the entire, I see it all the way through. Like in my mind, it's clear as clear can be where it's going. I know exactly where it's going. I know the whole thing. And I'm processing and processing and processing and processing. And then I'm analyzing and I'm thinking. And I don't talk to tons of people about some of the stuff because it's not appropriate, let's say, at that point. But I ask a lot of questions from a lot of people, not necessarily telling them why I'm asking the questions, but just doing my own little my version of market research without telling them I'm doing market research. Like I'll ask questions about what they're experiencing or what this and have they ever thought of that? And luckily I have a lot of people in my universe that I can reach out to or talk to or that I just naturally talk to during the course of a day and they'll give me input. So that's just constant information coming into me. And then it just kind of evolves into that vision. So I'm not physically building like you are, right? Like I'm not
Yeah.
designing or sketching something in that way. I'm thinking of a business type of thing, even though it's a creative endeavor, whether it's a platform, whether it's a project, whether it's a film or a TV show idea or a cartoon or a comic book or whatever, lots of these ideas that we have, I'm seeing it all the way through. Like I have the idea for a type of show, whatever you want to call it, but I see the comic book, I see the video game, I see the merch, I see why, I see the demographic, I see why it's going to cross demographics. For me, I have to have all of that. Like I don't. It's not that I don't. I'm not willing to just jump off the roof because I am. Like I'm willing to kind of do that. I'm not like scared of that. But the way I'm just kind of wired, I'm thinking about like, okay, I'm going to jump, and then okay, if the wind hits me the wrong way, I'm gonna I'm gonna go grab that tree before I land here. And so it's kind of a different sort of approach, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like what you do is more brand architecture, but built into that is real thinking into each aspect of, the business or the project. You're the architect. You're thinking of all, you're organizing your thoughts. Like me as an actual artist, I'm getting in there and making it because it helps me visualize, is this possible? And especially if I want to be the one making it, I'm not hiring a factory. I do have to just get into that phase where I'm just
Yeah,
creating, like even with the children's book, I don't know how to make a children's book. I'm focusing on the story, which is very simple. And then I'm, illustrating it through, my computer and a computer program, which is basically just making digital art to illustrate the story. I have to kind of get into the actual making of the creative juice. Plus, I have to discuss with you how I see it architecturally. And then you help me navigate the architecture of it very often. But as I'm like learning more, I'm starting to put some pieces together that I never would before, like with the Rain Art and Studio thing. Like I'm trying to create the architecture of what that business could be while also making the paintings and just kind of navigating through all the creative stuff that has to happen. And then that's when you and I get into the nitty gritty of how does this actually work as a business?
right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is different. I mean, there's similarities to what we do, and it's. I mean, I just realized a long time ago that one, I don't want to do everything myself, and two, I'm that's not who I am. Like I don't think anybody can do everything
Yeah.
themselves. But early on, realized like that's not who I want to be. I'm cool with guiding people. I'm cool with training people. I'm cool with supporting people, and I like the team effort of things
Mm-hmm.
in general. Like I like it when this person does this and this person does that, and how I see their skills and how we evolve and all that sort of stuff. I like that. And yeah, there's a lot of things I could do if I wanted. If I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And I look at it as a it's almost like a time investment. Like it's got to bring a return in some capacity. And if I spend too much time doing something, then there's these three or four or five other things that I just can't do.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and I have to kind of balance that sort of stuff out. So there's a lot of stuff I do that I definitely am working on finding ways to not have to do, whether it's through tools that we can build or things we can utilize or people on the team that can kind of take on some of the things that I'm currently doing to make that process easier so that I can do more of the stuff to help more. Not because I'm lazy, not because I don't want to do it. It's like there's these so many other things that I think could be so much more beneficial that I want to focus my energy where I really, really like, okay, I have to do this. Like there isn't somebody else
Oh,
who can
yeah.
help. And it's just different when you're a physical artist or when you're a musician or you're a writer. Like that's you have to do that, and then you need the people to do the other part to kind of help that process. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's I think we're very blessed that we're able to kind of have that balance between us.
I
And
totally
I just
agree.
encourage people that don't to kind of look for the people in their universe that they can kind of help balance themselves, because it's not, look, what we have is very special. We're very, very lucky and blessed and grateful for all of it. But it's possible. It's possible. Some people are just they kind of get in their own way. Like they force themselves into those places. And I think it's possible, if you're just open minded to it, to kind of have that different way to do it. So, to that end, at some point, whether it's you or me, we usually have to have other people come into play at some in something. We're not going to do everything ourselves, no matter what. Like we're not
Right.
doing things. There are certain things where you can be the one person. You don't have to use anybody else, and you do everything start to finish. Like a consultant can be by themselves; they don't need an assistant. Whatever. There's definitely different types of jobs and career paths that people can do that. But for the stuff we do, at some point, we have to engage some other people.
Yeah.
And again, I think this is interesting in our approach, but I think, I see what you go through, and it just kind of think we good to hear from your perspective. Well, I do see what you go through, and I live it, and again, I always encourage you to not wait to either bring me into something or to not wait for something, because it in the long run it's a little bit better. But I understand you have to go through your process. But like when you have to deal with is the wrong word. When you engage with, somebody on the team or an outside contractor or something who has to help with something, it's a little tricky, right? Because you're so creative and so artistic and so visual, like it's so clear to you. And then someone says, "Okay, I got it," and then they don't, and like that, and like it's it's interesting, right? I mean, like I don't know, you can.
Well, I'll take this one from here. It stems from the way I see things in my brain and my lack of technical skills to create visual things on the computer. I was trained as a fine artist.
And
When I
you're
went to Parsons, there were no laptop computers
yeah,
or phones, let
and
me tell
your
you.
your immense frustration in that the computer does not understand what it is you're trying to do. Like you're just
I don't have the right technical skills to make the computer do what I
right,
want it to
right.
do. So I run into trouble when we have someone who is working with us who is technical graphic designer or whatever. And yeah, it gets tricky for me to work with someone in that capacity because I see it and how do you communicate it? So often I'll try and draw it out physically to at least let them see what it is I'm trying to accomplish. And then once in a while, you really do end up with someone who gets it, which thank God when that happens. Um, but it's tricky for me because of my lack of skills on the computer.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, and I said this before, and I've said this to many people. Like the stuff that you do, like just on your phone or sometimes on your computer, is mind-boggling, considering the level of expertise where you are. And I don't mean that negatively, but you're not a computer expert, right? Like you're on a computer all the time, but you're not a computer expert. You're not an editor. You're not, there's certain things you're just not. Like that's not what you are. But if you look at the output, like on some of the posts that you do or the designs that you do on the computer, they're incredible, right? Like they're way above if you just looked at your credentials. Like they're way above that. But like you said, I think sometimes you don't know how the computer is actually working or what the program's actually doing. So you run into the frustration. I was like, well, how did you do that? And you're like, I have no idea. I know, but I don't know. Like,
Thank God there are apps that
yeah,
have made creating visual digital things a lot easier.
yeah, for sure.
Like to be able to, you know, use different, technical editing tools. I just was never trained on
Yeah,
any of it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's something you really need
It's
to step.
also it's an understanding of, and I've had this discussion or argument with sometimes it's an argument because I don't know why people have to be so stubborn. But I've had these discussions with different people of various levels of intelligence about, Mac users to PC users and how there's just a different mentality in how the two different people function. I remember it when I had my tennis company, and I was we were way ahead technologically than anybody in the industry, like years and years ahead of everybody. And I was getting new computers like all the time and doing upgrades and all kinds of stuff. And the main guy that worked for me was just so anti-computer and so anti-technology, and he was such an incredible person in so many levels and such a frustrating person in so many other levels. Hard worker, meticulous, neat, perfectionist, like really great skills. But when it came to like computers or technology, oh dear God. Oh God, it was unbelievable how painful it was. And I remember getting him like I was like, I'm going to get him a really good computer. And my father was like, what are you doing? Like he can't use a computer. And I was like, I know. And that's the problem. Is because when I get him the cheaper computer, this is years ago when there was really a major difference between computers.
Right.
When I get him the cheaper computer that's running a little bit slower, I know what's happening. So I know when I do this and this, it's going to take a little time to process and it's not going to happen. So I'm it's not that I had a lot of patience back then. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the patience to know there's something happening and I'm just going to wait. He would just like hit the enter key 12 times or hit the escape key 45 times. And then his computer would crash. And he was like, this computer doesn't work. And I'm like, it did before you hit every button on the keyboard at the same time. So I find that there are these things that you kind of have to put into play and then it really helps the process. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you're able to do a lot more now than you would have been able to do, 10 years ago for sure.
I
Uh,
mean, if I just was born a little bit later, I would be fine because
well,
that's how they
I
train
think I think the other
me.
thing is that you didn't ever get proper computer training, right? Like
That's
there
what.
was, yeah, no, but you could get that today, right? If you just said, okay, I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to learn these things. I'm not criticizing you. It's not like you're, but
I
it's
mean,
it's that. It's like so that I was trained. So I have a basic. I don't have like a super 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 advanced, but I'm able to get in the room with some very tech savvy people and programmers and developers and coders, and I can navigate within reason for the most part until they get really 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 techy. So because I
yeah.
understand the things that are happening, I understand why that's possible. I understand why that's not possible. I understand why that's possible. It's going to cost a shit ton of money, or it's going to take a really long. Like I understand the mechanism of that. Not everybody does. It's not that I'm so special. It's just that I was forced
I
into that
definitely
position.
do not understand.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know,
that I think affects a lot of those things. So, but it's fine. I mean, it's fine. But I think that's where you understand the creative part better than anybody. And I think when you work with someone, even if they're helping you on a technical basis, but if they at least have that really artistic training or mindset or skill, you're able to align with them a lot better.
yeah. I mean, I'm working, I think, really well with Kavya. You
Yeah.
know,
And you work well. And there's certain people that we can't name because they refuse to be named. But There are other people on the team that you work very well with, and you work well with everybody. It's not like you don't work well, but there's certain people you naturally align with because you've worked together on something. They've also paid attention to the things you're saying. And look, a lot of different people on the team have helped with certain things and they've been amazing for sure. And then there's
Yeah.
certain times where it just kind of goes a little bit off because, yeah,
I think it just takes a little bit of time for me because I have a very sensitive eye for balance and color and certain details and proportion and
right,
white space. Like I have like such a natural way to look at
right,
things that how do you get someone to understand you until you've been working with them a little bit? And it's
yeah,
usually I get to a place with a graphic designer or whoever it is I'm working with where we finally get to a place where they get me and I know how to articulate to them, but it does take a little bit of time.
yeah, yeah,
It's a language barrier basically. I'm
yeah,
speaking an unspoken language of design and they're speaking of, a computer language and
yeah.
need to somehow get on the same page.
I think it's important when you work with people, there's a personality in that, and with me to a certain extent too, is a personality like, are they actually listening? Or are they automatically infusing their ideas? And I think when people are listening first and processing what you're saying first, then this starts to kind of get. Then I think the process is a little bit better. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're trying to get clarity around something that's in your head, and you need to get it out so that they can do something. It's a tricky thing.
Well, I also think a lot of people who, work on brands and things, sometimes when you hire somebody, they think they're going to design it.
And that's
The
not always
where
what you're looking for.
what gets tricky for me is like I've already designed it in my head. I need you to help me make it happen on the screen. And so that is a tricky thing you have to communicate. It's like a little mind reading.
Well, this is almost like what we talked about in the past about like the client work versus the non-client work, right? Like you're looking for somebody to look at you as client work, even though you're not a client, right? Because you're
Yeah.
like, I've thought it through, I need you to execute, right?
Yeah, I usually just need someone to execute and maybe even make it better,
But
and
that's
that's
the thing. I think when you jive with somebody, then they can look at what you're doing. If they get you, they can maybe be like, oh, let's try this little change. And then you're like, oh, I didn't even think of that. That's amazing. Like that works. It works when there has that sort of relationship and that respect and that understanding where they're getting the stuff that you're doing and they're delivering what you're asking. It's a lot easier to listen when people do that, I think.
and yes, and also I do think that like right now I'm working on this one sheet for this interior design thing I want to do. And I have this lovely girl who's helping me. She's our intern and this is what she does. This is her she's a getting her master's in graphic communications. And so like she's got like essential information that I respect. And so even though I'm going to direct her with what I think is going to be right for the client, I'm definitely open to seeing if she can even make it better.
Right.
Like I'm not like the know it all. I don't know.
No, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But
So
look,
there's openness that
well,
you have to have as well.
well, we've also had, let's not kid ourselves. We've had people that were experts, that were hired as experts, that had a lot of experience, that have done. We've seen their work. They did good work, and they just were absolutely not getting the stuff that we were telling them. So it's not just that someone has the skill; they have to have the attitude, they have to have the respect. It's a combination of things. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think it's interesting how you navigate a certain way. I navigate a slightly different way than you do. I mean, I'm really always looking for feedback. I'm always looking. It doesn't mean that I always take it, but just hearing it and understanding it. Why did somebody see this way? Why did somebody see it that way? It helps me clarify things and it helps me take whatever idea that I have and take it to another level. So, but I also have a lot more experience working with large groups of people and different teams and different nationalities and different cultures, a lot more so than you've had experience with.
Oh yeah, this has all been the past 5 years, and
It's very different. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to get better
Yeah,
at it.
you're
But
getting no, you're getting. I mean, I don't want to say better or worse. I think you're evolving, and I think it's great. But yeah, it's a process. It's definitely a process.
yeah,
Cool. Okay. Well, that was fun. I think it's that time again. I'm saying I know we don't have any clocks in the house. Like we really don't have a single clock anywhere. We only have
why
like
would we have to have a
well,
clock?
I don't know. There's something about a clock, but like we have it on the coffee machine, we have it in the microwave, and we have it on our phones, obviously on our computers. But like it's not. There's no. I'm just looking and there's no clock. But I do know. I know in my heart of hearts, it's rapid fire time. Yes, boys and girls, you've been waiting for this. We're ready. We're gonna give you some rapid fire right here, right now. Coming to you
Geez,
live from New York City.
that's a strong intro.
Strong. I'm mixing it
All
up.
right.
I'm mixing it up. You
Well,
ready? Are you ready for this?
yeah, sure,
Am I going first? Am I asking first?
sure.
You say that like you're not excited.
No, I'm excited.
Okay.
Excited.
Okay.
Ask away. Ask away.
Here we go. Okay. So name a thing you know you should do more of that somehow always gets pushed to the side on a personal level. That's
On
question
a
one.
personal level,
Yeah.
I know I should actually go to the gym.
But it always gets pushed most of the
It
time.
doesn't always get pushed because sometimes I'll do it in a different way, but to actually go to the gym, I probably should do, especially since I have a membership.
Okay. Fair enough. Same question, but on a business level.
I should probably go take some classes at Apple.
Okay. That answer made you just warmed my heart a little bit. I'm a little aflutter. Um, okay, last rapid fire question for you. Name one thing you're determined to do before spring.
I would like to go to the meditation center and experience a group meditation class. It's been on my list to do, and yeah, I would. That's like something I want to do.
Before spring.
Well, it's more as soon as possible. So
Okay.
yeah, before
Yeah,
spring.
I'm saying before
Yeah,
spring because that's roughly within a
2 weeks.
couple of months. Well, technically
Yeah,
it's
it's March.
yeah technically it's March 21st, right?
That's not a couple of months.
No, slow down, okay? Seriously, slow down. Technically, spring is March 21st, correct?
Mhm.
So that's roughly a month from now.
Correct.
But as you and I both know, that's not really going to be spring, okay?
Okay. Well, if
I'm
you're putting
thinking
it that
spring in
way,
the
I was
reality
like,
of life.
okay.
Spring in the reality of life, living in New York City and Pennsylvania, spring is more like around April ish.
Yes, and it'll last for about a week because then it'll suddenly be like 80 degrees.
No, we're not this year. I'm working on that. Okay. I'm
Oh, okay.
working on that. Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
so meditation.
All right.
Okay, great. Okay, good. All right.
Okay. So your turn. One thing you know you should do more of, but somehow it gets pushed. And so, in a personal level, what would your answer be?
So I have to pick only one, so because it's probably a tie-ish, but I'm going to go with sleep.
Okay.
Even though gym is just an obvious
That's
one
pretty
that
important.
something
Yeah.
I obviously have to get back.
Maybe more like taking care of yourself.
I know, but that's such a broad thing, so that's why I'm trying to give a thing. So I definitely it would be better if I slept a little bit more and better. That would probably be something that, and I always push that aside. Like a couple of nights ago, I was in bed by 12:30, which was what I was shooting for, which was like holy shit, I did it, and it was fucking amazing. And then I was determined to do it last night, 120, 125. Like so, I can be better at that, and I
We're
always
gonna have
push it.
we're gonna have to dig into why you can't get yourself in bed.
Not enough hours in the day to answer that question, but there's not enough hours in the day, which is the answer to the question. But yes, continue onward.
Okay. So, in a business sense, what is one thing you should be doing but always gets pushed?
I do not watch enough movies and TV shows. And I don't mean for my own personal enjoyment, because it's all personal enjoyment. I just love movies and I love TV, and I could do it all day, every day. That's something that I have to do. I have to do better at. That's 100%.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. One thing you are determined to do before spring.
I would say get myself into not the shape that I have to get into, but at least get the process in that direction. Like that there's some
Let's
sort
go
of
with that.
movement. There's some sort
Yeah.
of movement in the direction of any physical things that I've got going on, that I take care of them, and then that's reasonably doable. I think, but I would like that would be good if I could do that.
Cool. Amazing. I'm there to support it.
Borderline on the amazing part, but thank you. Okay, well, I that was great. Thank you for doing this. I'm
You're welcome.
I'm always grateful when you show up. I just listen. There's always that chance that I'm going to get on here and I'll be like, "Where's Steph?" I don't know. I haven't seen her, but no, I'm great. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for our producer, who shall remain nameless, injury and all. and and I'm grateful for everybody that's listening and watching and paying attention. And thank you for supporting us. And we will see you next week. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.